Welcome to this session on the SAH Caseload Oversight Report. This session is for SAHs in Risk Management Plan C. Since we are meeting today on a virtual platform, I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are located in various places across this nation we call Canada, and we are each residing on the traditional territory of many First Nations peoples. I would like to specifically acknowledge that Toronto, the location of the RSTP main office, is situated on the lands of many First Nations peoples, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Dish with One Spoon, Wampum, and Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We invite you to personally dedicate time to learn about, reflect on, and acknowledge the history and land of the First Nations peoples where you reside. Today's session is going to look at the Caseload Oversight Report. We're going to do a quick recap of the Risk Management Plan C and look at the report in more detail, including the reporting cycles and deadlines, as well as the key instructions for completing this report, as well as a brief walkthrough of the report. Risk management plans came into effect in November 2023. The requirements of each plan can be found in Appendix 2 of the sponsorship agreement. I will be focusing on the reporting requirements today, and specifically the Caseload Oversight Report. As you can see, this was referred to in Appendix 2 as the settlement reports. The title of the report has been updated, and so now it is referred to as the Caseload Oversight Report, but it is what is mentioned here in the reporting requirements, formerly referred to as settlement reports. The Caseload Oversight Report was implemented on July 1st, 2025. Even though other requirements of the risk management came into effect in November 2023. Communication about the Caseload Oversight Report was sent out to all SAHs in Plans B and C on July 3rd, 2025. The report template was developed in consultation with the SAH Association Board and staff and RSTP. This report provides SAHs with the opportunity to demonstrate active knowledge, oversight, and monitoring of their caseloads throughout the sponsorship period. Only report on cases that are within your sponsorship period during the reporting cycle. So this includes cases where the sponsorship period has ended or started during the cycle. But you're reporting on all of these active cases that are within their sponsorship period. You do not need to report on cases that are still being processed by IRCC and have not arrived. So you are reporting on the active cases. Those are cases that have arrived in Canada. These reports must be submitted in addition to the annual report. It does not replace it. So at the end of the year, you will still submit an annual report to IRCC. Few more things to note about this report. It does not replace post-arrival issues being reported to the Resettlement Services Assurance Team, or RSAT. Any issues that come up post-arrival, such as secondary migration, self-destination, conflicts or disputes, must still be reported to RSAT. This report does not replace requests for information from RSAT or case review or monitoring. So any request that you get for information about a case review, you must continue to respond to RSAT on any of these kinds of requests. The Caseload Oversight Report is not required if your agreement is placed into check-in or not in good standing status. Instead, this would be replaced with the post-arrival settlement report. If you exit these classifications of check-in or not in good standing status for your SAW, if you exit these, then you would then again need to complete the caseload oversight report. With Plan C, you will have 4 reporting cycles each calendar year. The reporting cycles are the same each year. The first reporting cycle will start July 1st, 2025 and run to September 30th, 2025. That's the reporting cycle. The deadline for the report for that cycle would be due by October 15th, 2025. The second reporting cycle will run from October 1st to December 31st, 2025. The third will be January 1st to March 31st, 2026. And the fourth would be October 1st to June 30th, 2026. The reports will always be due by the 15th of the month following the end of the reporting cycle. A reminder email will be sent by IRCC midway through the reporting cycle. Let's take a look at an example. So if you imagine that your SAW had a sponsored refugee arrive on September 1st of 2025. So if your SAW in Plan C has the sponsored refugee arrive, you're going to include this refugee on your report over the course of their sponsorship year. And in this case, you'd be reporting on that same sponsored refugee 5 times. So they arrive on September 1st. You would include them in your report that runs from January 1st to September 30th. You would include them again on your second report from October to December, then January to March. You include them again and again from April 1st to June 30th, and then finally from July 1st to September 30th, as they would finish their sponsorship year, their first year in Canada, during that final reporting cycle. Reports do not need to be submitted for sponsored refugees who have already arrived and completed their first year in Canada by July 1st, 2025. You do not need to submit reports for sponsored refugees who have not yet arrived in Canada. Here are some key instructions. You're going to submit one form, and note that there's a separate section for each case being reported on. You're only reporting on cases that are within their sponsorship period during the reporting cycle. So again, these are active cases of refugees that have arrived and are in Canada in that sponsorship period. You're going to include cases where the sponsorship period started or ended during the reporting cycle, including one-year windows. And the report must be signed by either a current agreement signatory or main contact. The signature can be digital or scanned. Once you've completed the report, it must be sent as an attachment to the PSR inbox. The report must be submitted from your SAH's primary email address that is on file with IRCC, or from the email of a main contact or agreement signatory on file with IRCC, CCing your SAH's primary email address. Please inform IRCC if you cannot respond according to the timeline. Now, before we take a look at the report, I just want to mention that if you have any challenges in completing the report or understanding the reporting cycles or deadlines or questions on the report, we encourage you to reach out to RSTP. On our website, on the Contact Us part of our website, you can find information about a local or regional trainer in your area. And we also run a helpline that is staffed 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. So we encourage you to reach out to RSTP if you have any questions about the report. Now we'd like to take a look at the report itself and to just see, to give you a sense of what it looks like. So if you'll just bear with me, we'll just pull up the report here for you to take a look at. Okay, so this is what the report looks like. Before we begin, I would like to bring your attention to the final page. The final page of the report is where the instructions are. We encourage you to look at these instructions as you're completing the form. This is one form that details all of your current active cases you have in Canada in their sponsorship year. So you will start by completing the information, the name of the sponsorship holder, the reporting period, the number of cases being reported on. And then here is where you will document each individual case. You will fill in the application number, the sponsorship status, the family size, if there are any non-accompanying family members, any additional details, the community of settlement, any contact you had with the newcomer or CG and co-sponsor, and the method of that contact. You'll provide information about the settlement support being provided and any challenges with providing that settlement support. If you had any settlement-related successes, you can share those with IRCC. You will indicate the financial support that is provided for this particular refugee individual or family. So that's basically the questions. We wanted to give you a look at what it might look like. Again, the idea of this report is it's a high-level report that provides information to show that your SAW is overseeing and monitoring your cases post-arrival. So here, IRCC has developed RSTP has developed a sample case, and we're pretending in this case that RSTP were a SAW to give you an idea of what this form would look like once it has been filled in. So we have the application number, the sponsorship status. In this case, we indicated that there's a non-accompanying family member in addition to the family that has arrived. And we put in a bit of information about the 1-year window application that we submitted for that non-accompanying family member. Under community of settlement, we've provided some information that yes, in fact, the newcomers self-destined. They stayed in Vancouver on arrival and did not continue on to Victoria. So we provided a bit of information about how we contacted IRCC of that situation, because if you'll remember from the presentation, you still need to inform RSAT if the sponsored refugee moves. So if you need any assistance in understanding the steps about residency requirements and how to meet those, please reach out to your local or regional RSTP trainer. Here's a little bit where we've indicated the contact and the method that the SAW had with the newcomer, and the provision of settlement support. So this is a dynamic form. So when we indicated that, yes, there have been some challenges, we had the opportunity to indicate what those challenges were. So we mentioned language and then explained what has happened, that the family has not yet started English classes due to capacity issues at the local settlement agency. So it's just to kind of give you an example of how this form is a high level. It's like pointing out the things that are working, or some of the challenges that are happening in a post-arrival case, just to show that we are, as a SAW, looking into how this works and monitoring our case. It asks us if there are any settlement-related successes that you'd like IRCC to be aware of, and so we're able to share those successes here and give a little bit of an update on the financial support. Under additional cases, in this example, we provided that there has been a 1-year window application submitted. So, and that the co-sponsors appointed in the new community of settlement. So that is to give you just an example how that form might look once information is populated in it. As you can see, you can then at the bottom add a new case. So it's one report form, but you document the cases that you have that are active cases in their sponsorship year. Once you've provided information for all of your active cases, including any that finished or started their sponsorship year in Canada during the reporting period, the report must be signed by either the current sponsorship agreement holder signatory or the main contact. And so you will find that here on this page. This is where the SAW main contact or signatory will sign the form. Again, I'll just bring your attention to the final page where the instructions are listed. So please follow the instructions on the final page of the form when completing it. If you run into any issues while completing the form, as mentioned during the presentation, please reach out to your local, regional RSTP trainer, and they can help answer questions about the form. That brings us to the end of this session. I want to thank you for your time and hope that you all have a great day.